what's checking, everybody? It is that time of the week where we do our predictions and our favorite picks on PrizePicks. I'm Jeff Ketchum. That is Jason Sukimo, Anwar Richardson, and Alex Dunlap. Make sure right now you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, get notifications, do all that stuff. But by all means, the thing you need to do more than anything else is go over to PrizePicks. I say just deposit $100 so that you can get the full 100% deposit match. I know it's the very first thing I did when I went over to PrizePicks. I want to get my full $100. Use that promo code Orangebloods so they know that we sent you over. Fellas, Texas, Alabama. It's like a little more than 48 hours away. It's sexy to even say that out loud. We're so close to the game. It just feels good. Does everybody have their picks? Is everybody confident that what they're picking is the thing that's actually going to happen?
Nope.
Yes and no. Yes, I have my pick. I just wrote it down. No, I'm not confident.
Well, Jason, I'll start with you and your lack of confidence. We'll get into the PrizePicks. I've got a few in this Texas-Alabama game that I really like. But before we go into those, we got to say what our predictions are for this game. Give me your non-confident pick.
Yeah, well, it's not going to make me any friends on this broadcast or on Orangebloods, but we've all said it. I think this is a very winnable game for Texas. I don't think Alabama, I think, might be a little up and down this year, depending on what Jalen Milroe shows up. Based on what we saw last week, I think Texas might be a little up and down based on which Quinn Ewers shows up. I had more confidence before last week's games that Texas could pull the upset, but I wasn't blown away by what I saw from Texas against Rice by any means. Alabama actually looked better than I thought they probably would. I get it, Middle Tennessee State, but Milroe was just on point with his passing and really was accurate with his deep ball. He ran the ball effectively as we expected. Listen, if anybody here predicts Texas to win, I'm not going to push back on it. I think that's very possible. But I look at the matchups. I didn't see enough from Texas last week. It's one game, I get it, but they're going on the road against a very talented Alabama team. I don't think there are going to be a lot of points in this game, man. I'm not sure either quarterback plays at a high enough level where they're just going to race up and down the field. I mean, maybe Quinn Ewers bottles up what we saw against Bama last year. Maybe it's different, but if I'm taking the whole big picture of Quinn Ewers from last year and one game of this year, it doesn't give me a lot of reason to think Texas is going to light up the scoreboard. I think Milroe comes back to earth a little bit against a pretty good Texas defense. I think Alabama wins it. I've written down 31 for Alabama, 21 for Texas. I'm taking Alabama. And surprising to myself, I'm taking Alabama minus the points. I've been saying for 3 months, hey, take Texas plus the 7. But I'm basing it off of what I saw last week. I'm taking Bama 31-21.
Okay, that one kind of caught me off guard a little bit. Mr.
Richardson caught me off guard a little bit, dude. Catch, to be honest with you, it goes against what I've been predicting for 4 months. So yeah.
Okay, so at the very end, Anwar, Jason flinches. Have you flinched? What's your vibe going into this 48 hours out?
Catch out. Listen. I view this as a kind of a low-scoring game. You'd probably be a little bit lower than how Jason views it, not by a ton. I posted something on the Orangebloods this morning. I talked about it on my show this morning as well. We've talked a lot about, Saban being 103-8 at home. But I focused in a little bit on those 8 losses, Catch. And basically of those losses, and 3 of those losses occurred in 2007. That was Saban's first year. So to me, that's almost like a mulligan. It doesn't count, right? But nonetheless, can I go through the quarterbacks who went into Tuscaloosa and came out with victories? There's only 8 of them, right? So it won't take me long.
By all means.
The quarterbacks' names are Joe Burrow, Chad Kelly, Johnny Manziel, Jordan Jefferson, Cam Newton, a guy by the name of Kimson Lancaster, Matt Flynn, and Matthew Stafford. 6 of those guys who have victories out of the 8 were drafted. Only 2 were undrafted. 4 of the 8, Catch, were first-round draft picks. That's the Joe Burrow, Johnny Manziel, Cam Newton, and Matthew Stafford. And by the way, 3 of them were Heisman Trophy winners. Joe Burrow, Johnny Manziel, and Cam Newton. So half of them were first-round picks. 3 of them were Heisman Trophy winners. 6 out of the 8 were drafted. That's how tough of a place it is to go into Tuscaloosa and win. That's why I'm going with Alabama 26, Texas 20.
What's interesting about that?
Kinsman Lancaster, I got to know. Where did he play?
La Monroe.
Wow.
So remember when La Monroe pulled off the upset in 2007?
I don't even remember that. But yeah,
that's who Kinsman Lancaster is. He was there. Yes.
I was trying to Google it.
Yeah, 2007 was that weird year for them.
Okay.
That's the opposite of a stray, Anwar. Like somebody will see them and go, man, they were talking
like
about you on Orangebloods live today. What were they saying?
It's like finding a 20 in the couch cushions, right? It's the opposite of catching a stray.
He's like that. You're damn right. Put me in the company with Super Bowl winning quarterbacks and Heisman Trophy winners and NFL MVPs. On paper, Texas has one of those guys. I mean, Quinn Ewers is going to get drafted. It would appear that he's headed towards a one-day first-round draft pick kind of value. So Anwar, they have a guy on paper that would fit the mold in theory. Did that cross your mind? That like I almost thought that was going to make you lean more towards Texas because on paper Ewers fits the profile of the guys that have gone in there and won. At least from a reputation standpoint, he hasn't been that guy consistently on the field.
I think for me right now, Quinn's a guy that needs another year, at least. I think he needs another 2 seasons potentially at Texas. And I know that blows up a lot of things. That's a different thing for a different topic. But I think there's some growing and learning and development. And I don't think one good season is good enough, for NFL scouts. I think he's probably going to need 2. So to me, could it be an NFL pick at some point? Sure, that's potential. But there's a lot of fundamental things that I think he does really well. But for right now, these guys right now, 4 of those guys are first-round picks. 3 of them are Heisman Trophy winners. I don't have them in that conversation as of yet. And I would hope his ceiling is a little bit higher than a Chad Kelly's was, or maybe even Matt Flynn's. So, but by the way, Matt Flynn, no shade on him. Matt Flynn ended up having a really good NFL career in Green Bay, and then after that, so nothing wrong with that. But just because of those factors, it just makes me pause a little bit to say the performances have to be top notch, kind of elite level. I'm not ready to say that as of yet, especially after what I saw from the offensive line.
Alex, we're 0 for 2 in terms of Alabama-Texas game picks. Both so far that have been given have gone the way of the Crimson Tide. Surely you're breaking this streak, right? You're going to be the favorite mod?
No, not at all. But I will say this, man. We could have a whole podcast about Anwar's comments just now about Quinn Ewers needing to stay another year. I mean,
he snuck that in, didn't he?
Yeah, it's like he's kind of throwing a smoke grenade in the old in the old elevator here. It's kind of like I can't think about much other else after you bring that up. God, jeez, if that were to happen, I mean, we'll have a whole off season to talk about that kind of stuff. Anyway,
there's an argument to be made for it, Alex. There's an argument to be made for it.
No, I get. Well, it's just like you said, it would throw off a lot.
Yeah.
But anyway, so my prediction is that I think Quinn will be fine. I mean, for the circumstances, I think he'll be fine here. I worry about the interior of the offensive line clearly that's front of mind for me after just getting done doing the offense. I just now got my column posted on Orangebloods as I talked about it on my show yesterday and went through it and then just put the pen to paper last night and this morning, just writing out the actual words and what that performance actually meant out of those guys. I think there's a way out, but if they need to, they need out, right? They're down right now, and getting out is not just an automatic given. I think there's ways out, but they need to find their way out. So, for that reason, I worry about the interior pressure. I worry about the pocket collapsing from the inside. Quinn having to bail, maybe getting off platform, hopefully staying healthy right through the course of the game. And I see it as 33-20. That's what I've written down. 20-33. Alabama.
It's interesting. Everybody has the under slightly at this point. I think Jason had a total of 52 points. Isn't that where you were at, Jason?
52. Yep.
And you've got a total of 54, right, Alex?
20-33, so 53.
Okay. I think this game plays lower scoring than I think all of you have. I kind of look at that 20-19 game from a year ago and think first 1 to 20 probably wins on Saturday. And maybe there's a world where it's hard for me to imagine Texas scoring 30-plus points and pulling away from Alabama. They've never lost under Saban at home by more than 8 points. So there's a closeness to this game that if Texas wins, I think, I think they'll be in the 20s, and Bama would probably be right there beneath them. But I've got it 23-20 Alabama. I think it's going to be a game very similar. I think it's going to be a little bit more blood and guts than a lot of people think. I think when we get to the PrizePicks numbers here in a little bit, I think the lesses may be the answer for certainly the quarterbacks in a couple of places. In fact, I've already got a couple of PrizePick entries in before we could do the video and change the numbers, because I think we do push people into the numbers and they will rise. If you watch this video, you need to be quick and Johnny on the spot to take advantage of our advice, because oftentimes you'll see these Texas players' numbers move up. In fact, I'm not so sure that Quinn Ewers' passing numbers haven't gone down just this morning already, but I like a close scoring game. I think that I think these defenses are going to control the game. And I think the difference may come down to, can one of these defenses create points? It's one thing to get a 3 and out. It's another thing to force a turnover. Can one of these defense actually, or special teams, create points that just give them an extra added edge in terms of how do you score enough points to win this game? Both teams like their kickers. I think we're going to see some field goals, and the difference in it for me right now would be that Alabama maybe kicks one more field goal than Texas does. 23-20 Alabama, but the under on this game is the one that I like the most. I can see Texas covering. I can see Alabama, or I can see Texas with the points, but I can see Alabama, like Jason. I can see them covering by the time this game is over. But I think it's going to be a fourth quarter game. I think it's going to be fairly low scoring. And I think the opportunities will be there for Texas to win the game. They have to prove that this is the type of game that they can win. And Sarkisian and this group have not ever done that in a situation like this against an opponent like this. I'll need to see it before I can give them the benefit of the doubt against a team like Alabama. Let's get into our PrizePicks discussion, fellas. Let's start at the quarterback position, both guys. So all of the numbers haven't been put up yet, but we do have some Texas-Bama game numbers. Let's start with Quinn Ewers. I thought it said 274 earlier today, but at this very moment, we've got Quinn Ewers at 269.5 passing yards. Anybody got a feel for that? I have one for sure.
Yeah, I have one. I mean, mine is just to stay away. I mean, that's my initial thought. That feels like a complete stay away line to me. It feels absolutely perfect. I don't. You have a strong feeling about whether that goes over or under catch?
I do, because I think a lot of the numbers that we're looking at are still calibrated on the old. Colby says it was 272.5 at 6 a.m. this morning. Okay, I was right. I knew I'd seen it 270 something. Good job, Colby. I think the less is the play here. I think that the numbers are probably inflated by we're used to seeing in college football games. I don't know that we've had enough of a sample size yet to recalibrate what it means to lose some of the play. Going to run. That clock is going to run. So I think there's a world where Quinn Ewers breaks 269.5. It probably is one where Alabama has a big lead, and you just throw it. I think Texas is going to throw the ball a lot, but I don't know that it's going to equate to a big final passing yards number.
Might get 125 yards in the fourth quarter if they're down by 2 scores. So I'm with Alex. I'm staying away from that one. I mean,
well, the one that I like on War,
2.5 quarters or last
the one that I like on War that I've already got action on. I made a point to jump on it while I could. I think Jalen Milroe at 210.5 passing yards. I'm taking the less on that one. There's a chance that he might not even make it through this game. Because if they're struggling on offense, Saban will pull the hook. He'll put in the backup quarterback. So I think that exists. I think that's a pretty big number for Jalen Milroe to hit. I think they're going to run the ball a lot. Like I said, I've got a 3-player entry already in the books for this weekend, and Jalen Milroe under the less on the passing yards is the play for me right now.
That's pretty good. Now, and by the way, though, Catch, I kind of like when you stay with. I had to look it up for Jalen as well. They got him at 52.5 rushing yards.
It's up to 52.5. Golly, it is because I just saw that one and I'm putting it. It was just 51.5, and I tried to put it in, and they're not letting me take it. That's the more. So you take that. So you take the more there, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, Alex, you and I are in sync at that one.
Golly, all right. Well, I'm going to take it to 52.5 right now before they swindle me again. It's in. Okay, I paired it up with Xavier Worthy more than 72.5 receiving yards. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about Quinn, but I am sure that last week we saw Xavier Worthy get a 29% target share. Whenever he didn't even play the whole game.
Alex, he just needs one big catch, right?
I'm telling you, it's just
one of these damn deep balls.
No, but that's the thing. It's like with him now, it's like he's become a serious. If things happen like they happened versus Rice, and I think it's gonna have to regress a little bit because we got to build in some room for an AD Mitchell breakout, right? And he's not gonna break out at a 17% target share. So I mean, it's probably gonna come down. But dude, anybody that hovers with that 30% target share, it's like you're not just an alpha, you're a complete dominator, right? He can come down a little bit from that. And we're still talking about not only the home run threat that he possesses, but just a massive, massive volume threat. From a guy like that, you see how easy.
Well, he was the guy that got double-digit targets consistently last year.
Yeah, and so to me, it's just like
be down 1, maybe 2 secondary players. But I'm kind of with Catch, man, playing devil's advocate. Alex, like if I'm Saban, that's probably the one guy he's going to scheme to take away. So Catch, now I'm thinking the AD Mitchell play is the one I like, but I'm like, oh, am I falling into that trap that we fell into last year where I just kept hitting Xavier?
I think the AD Mitchell, the one that I hit on early, Jordan Whittington at 35.5.
He had a big game last year against him.
I don't think he's going to go for 100, and I don't know if he goes for 70, but I think Jordan Whittington is going to be a safety outlet for viewers in this game. I think, the Mitchell and the Sanders numbers, put it back up on the screen there, Blake, so everybody can see what we're looking at from the receiving standpoint, because you got Mitchell at 44.5. You've got Sanders at 44.5. One of those guys is going to hit and the other one's likely not. But the Whittington one for me seems obvious. I don't think he goes huge, but anything below 35.5 means he just was a complete afterthought in the ball game. And I don't think that's going to be him this week. I think he's more likely to finish with like 5 catches for 55 to 60 yards. But I think you can feel pretty safe. He'll get to halftime 1 catch away from 35.5. And I think he crosses 35.5 in the third quarter.
I mean, I think you got good points, Kev, but I also 100% think agree with Alex in his observations, and let me explain why, right? Because we could go beyond the numbers, right? Xavier last year against Bama had 5 receptions for 97 yards. To your point, As far as Whittington is concerned, he had 7 receptions for 64 yards. But here's the thing that kind of gets lost in that conversation. So both of those, I think both of you guys have really good points, right? The thing is, you got to remember is Sark had dialed up. I mean, one hell of a play call. He was calling his ass off as far as plays were concerned until Quinn got hurt. But that he was throwing things at Bama that Bama was not prepared for. They didn't know what was coming. They was not expecting. And we talked about the injury, but the play calling that Sark had before the injury was top notch, top level. I think it's some of the best I had ever seen. So to Alex's point, like there's going to be things I think that Xavier is going to get very early on, that just because there's nothing on tape that they got a chance to catch Alabama off guard. Same thing I think with you as far as Jordan Whittington is concerned. I just think that surprise factor works really well with a guy like Xavier Worthy, probably most of these receivers.
I just put $50 down on a 5-entry bet. So I've got Worthy on the more on the receiving yards, A.D. Mitchell on the more on the receiving yards, Whittington the more on the receiving yards, Milroe with the less, Ewers with the less.
How do you have 3 guy receivers with the more and their quarterback with the less? Dude,
well, look, let's give Worthy 100. Okay.
Okay.
I've said I think Whittington will finish between 55 and 60. So let's just say 55. That's 155. If I put Mitchell at 60, or let's even say 70, you're still only at 225. I think that the reality is Worthy may be closer to 90. I don't know. Like I think those guys go over.
That's a low percentage play. It's like Alex likes to
you watch
correlate
all 5.
Correlated
hitting all 5. You're going to apologize to me next week.
Well, you took the Ewers over with all the Ewers more with all those receivers, right?
No, he took the Ewers less.
I took the less
with the more with all the receivers.
Correct, yeah. Because I think those 3 guys will total the overwhelming lion's share of the yardage. But I think all of those guys combined can go over their slots. If you add those up together,
that's gonna be a tough.
It's only 155 total for those 3 players at the numbers they're set at.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess it's not as tough a middle as I think. I just hate the middle stuff. You're gonna have to.
If you add them up, it's 153. Those 3 players combined. With the
where else are you gonna? Yeah, I mean, it's gonna. Well, you're betting against neither. You kind of want to middle it, like you're betting on none of those guys smashing their mores,
and you're also counting on one to miss. Alex,
what?
This is one of these where if I hit 4, I'll get a double payout, and I think that's what's going to happen. I think ultimately
you're not doing where they all have to hit.
Exactly. If I hit all 5, I'm gonna have a nice little payout, but I'm counting on I'm hitting 4 of those 5.
Okay.
Sure.
You'll
Yeah.
still make money. Gotcha.
It makes sense, and I think the other thing you would just need to avoid would be just another one of these super long catches from like somebody unexpected, like Jonte Cook gets free for some deal, or Jonathan Brooks on some screen, he runs for 70 yards or something like that. That could be the kind of play that ends up hurting you, but that's of course a low percentage outcome.
Real quick before we go, last one, Jalen Milroe passing yards plus rushing yards at 262.5.
They got his passing at 210.5, his rushing for 52.5. I saw that earlier. So it's you just do the math, add them up, and it's whatever, 262.5, 263. Man, he's such a wild card to predict because we've seen him be very hit or miss. But I mean, he was really good last week, really precise, really accurate, really efficient. His downfield throwing was incredibly accurate. I don't think he's going to have that success this week against Texas. I think Texas is going to do everything they can to take his rushing opportunities out of the equation. Now, he's going to get some attempts. I get it. And have a busted play where he scrambles a little bit. But I think that's got to be priority number one, taking his rushing yards out and make him beat you with his arm. I know you guys said you liked the more than 52.5 rushing yards. If he goes for more than 52.5, then Texas probably loses this game. I think that's got to be priority number one for Pete Kwiatkowski. Take his running ability out, try to make him one-dimensional. If Texas can do that, I think he goes under that 262.5. I'd probably take the less on that.
Well, I would tell you this. Last year, Jalen rushed for he had 17 carries for 83 yards against Texas A&M. So you factor that in, and basically in 2 starts, he's had 222 rushing yards on 30 carries in 2 starts is concerned. So he's averaging 7.4 yards per carry. I
didn't realize he got that many carries. That's a lot of carries.
Yeah, so he's an integral part of that.
I bet like probably half of those are not by design too, where he just probably pulls it down and takes off, which is honestly probably where he's most effective. Yeah.
So nonetheless, so what I'm saying is 80 yards is easily on the table, and then that leaves from 262 minus 80 at that point, catch to make up that difference. Right there, which, at that point you say to yourself, like, well, that's doable because you're not asking him to throw for 300. You're just saying, like, throw for another $180-ish or $160-ish or something like that. So I kind of do like that 262.5 as a combined because to Jason's point, even if a play breaks down, that's probably where he's more dangerous than he is in a pocket.
It's interesting, I think, because you can only pick one. Like in any given entry, you can only go with one involving the same player. So it's about picking the Milroe number that you like the most. I think I like the rushing number the most, but the passing number and the less is right there. It's the other one that gets a bit tricky because if he hits one of those, like if he runs for 80 yards, suddenly that number might be, I think that's the one I might stay away from just because I feel like you can feel pretty certain on the other two. I do. I really do. I think I'll probably will play both, the more yards rushing and the less yards passing. And the other one kind of scares me to death in the event that he blows one of those up and suddenly you're in trouble. All right, guys, we're going to wrap this bad boy up. Any final comments, either PrizePicks related? Again, get that deposit in right now. Use that promo code Orangebloods and get 100% of your initial deposit match up to $100. That means you put $50 in, they'll also give you 50 to play with. But why wouldn't you want the free $100? Trust me, I always enjoy anytime I get the little extra money in, and it will pay off. Fellas, anything else?
Looking forward to some NFL prize pick action tonight. So
play that Dak Prescott 1 yard passing. You got to make sure you take advantage of the freebies.
Yeah. You should have done. Did you do that with yours, Catch?
Not yet. I will.
You should do the 5 one, and then because you say you're trying to hit like 4 out of 5, and you put the Dak in there, then you get 5 out of 6.
The thing is, I put 50 on that one. Dak has a limit of $20, if I'm not mistaken. You can't go above that. So it's not like you can. So I'm trying to find the exact perfect partner with Dak. I might wait for Alex to give me his single favorite play of the weekend, just his favorite, and then I'll pair it with Dak and put $20 in to win 60.
Yeah,
I'll probably do.
Sounds like a plan. Yeah, people are asking about TNF plays and weekend plays and stuff. We probably won't have time to get to here, but if you watch my show 3:30 to 5:30, I'll talk about it much.
Alex will have you covered. You won't miss a thing. 3:30 to 5:30. For now, like that video, subscribe to the channel, do the things that we ask you to do. Smash every button available except for that thumbs down button. We don't like that one. Until later today, like an hour and a half, I'll see you guys for House Divided. Alex a little bit later in the day. Onward tomorrow. We're always around. Until next time, you guys.